Hi, everybody. Welcome to Journey into the Martial Arts. And I'm really excited to have a great guest on today, Jason Marcos Velez. Hey, Jason. Thanks for coming, mate. Getting into the interview.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
No worries. Jason, just going back with history, Jason and I, we met recently last year or so. He's done one of my seminars and I've done one of his. And we've had a lot of fun together as well in Las Vegas, which is a lot of fun. And now we're catching up after COVID-19. Still a bit out there, but we now, you're apparently allowed to teach now, apparently now. Is that right, Jason?
Yes, they just opened up last Friday.
Awesome. That's good news. So LA is not too far behind as well. So now, welcome again. Tell me a little about yourself and how did you get into the martial arts, a bit of history, and I know you're in the armed forces as well. So just a little history, that'd be great. Thanks.
Oh, okay. Yes. Thank you for having me on your show. My background, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I come from two parents who are from Puerto Rico. So I'm Puerto Rican and we're also part Tano Indian from the island. And born and raised in New York, went straight into the United States Marine Corps, straight out of high school. And they sent me overseas to Asia, which I loved. And I got stationed in Taiwan, Hong Kong, the Philippines, Japan, Okinawa, Korea, of course, and Thailand. And everywhere I was stationed, I went and learned about the culture and trained in the arts, the martial arts of that country firsthand. So that was an incredible experience. And then I made my way back to the States. I was stationed 2nd Marine Air Wing for a while in North Carolina. And I became the United States Marine Corps lightweight karate champion. And that was from 79 to 80. And then I ended up transferring into the United States Army Southern Command, or SOCOM, working with the special groups, special ops, and doing a lot of work down in South America. I concluded that with the famous Desert Storm, came out of that, retired, and now I'm here in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Wow, what a journey. It's a lot of the armed forces, that's how they got into the martial arts, by being stationed there.
Yes, absolutely.
What's your first experience? At what age? Were you younger before you went to the armed forces, or when you got into in martial art? What style and was the main style?
So like many people, I got into the martial arts when I saw Bruce Lee
Same with me.
on a show. Yes, on a show called The Green Hornet. That was back in 1966.
Yep.
And I said, wow, what is this? This guy is incredible, the way he moves and so forth. So I got the martial arts bug, and luckily my uncles, who were Marines and military, they all knew martial arts. And in particular, my cousin, he was a black belt in Tang Soo Do and Hapkido. So I started learning that. He was my main instructor till I joined the Marine Corps. And his last words to me were, train with whoever you can, learn as much as you can. So I've started training with all the other military guys, karate, kung fu, kickboxing. Every base seems to have a little gym where all the martial artists join and share. So it's been an incredible experience just training with the masters overseas, some of the founders, and just tons and tons of military people and military police and so forth. So it's been quite a ride.
Oh, that's awesome. So how old were you when you first started with your cousin?
I was 5 years old, and I was first put into Pee Wee boxing.
Pee-wee boxing.
Yeah, the local YMCA and the local police athletic league. And I think I also learned a little bit of judo back then. And then that's when I went into the Korean arts, and I loved them. So I've stayed with them these years.
That is awesome. Yeah, it's what is your art? Tell me the history of your arts, and is it pure art or blended method? And yeah, tell us all about that.
Okay, so I have been lucky enough to get certified in some different styles, like Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do and when you learn that, you end up learning always Danny Dos Santos' input, which was the Filipino arts and stick fighting, knife fighting.
Mm-hmm.
I also got to get certified in Muay Thai, kickboxing,
Mm-hmm.
and many several different arts, Kung Fu, Kempo. But my main art has always remained Hapkido. And in particular, when I was stationed in Korea, I got to train with the White Horse Division, which is actually their special forces. And they had an art called Tukang Musul,
Yep.
which you don't hear too much about. It's getting a little more popular now.
Yep.
But Tukang took the best of Hapkido and Taekwondo and some of their boxing and a few other arts. And they actually got a mandate from the president at that time who said, I want you to create a superior art. And what had happened is some of the North Korean special forces had come over the border. They were caught. And one in particular took out 3 South Korean special forces guys like they were nothing.
Wow.
And so that prompted the president to say, you got to develop a superior art. They came up with Tukang Musul, which basically means special forces martial art.
Okay. It's interesting.
I would say like 80% of it is Hapkido.
Yes.
Military Hapkido, some Koksul. So their secret and what they came up with is certain arts are superior in certain ranges. So if you figure out which art is more superior in the grappling range or the trapping range or the kicking range, and you use that style, that'll give you a leg up on your assailant or your attackers. So I really like that philosophy. And I've applied it to life. It has kept me alive in combat missions and so forth. So that's pretty much what I preach to this day.
Well, that's awesome because you're talking about stuff done in Hapkido and Taekwondo. So I understand there's a big difference between traditional Taekwondo as in the sport. So that's more, 70, 80% kicking.
Yes.
An Olympic sport. So it's more of a distance art, right?
Right.
So if you just stick to the traditional, then you could be in a bit of trouble in a real situation. So that's why I went with Hapkido. Hapkido's a mix of all the different arts and all the different blends, and also in close distance on the ground, everything. So it's weapon defense,
yes,
pretty much everything in it. So, and I was lucky to be taught by one of the best in the world, senior grandmaster Sung Soo Lee. Is now 82 years old. He's just incredible. So it's just been a pleasure. And that was back in Sydney, Australia. Now living in LA, of course. So and looking forward to doing some seminars with you in the future as well. So under the martial super seminars, where ourselves and our other friends, Alan Woodman, and a whole bunch of different great martial artists in the future as well. And I'm just reforming with the twins, the almighty twins, or Tai Chi twin, we call them, Jeremy and Josh Doherty, who I first met in 1998 when we won the Korean division for the American Black Belt Championships and won a lot of titles since, all the way to competing together since 2013. So I'm looking forward to getting back with them and doing the martial arts super seminars as well around the place. And they're students of mine under Hapkido, black belts of mine under that as well. So with your experience, and also you've been, I've been in a few real situations, Five Guys in China, and yes, it worked. That's why I'm sitting here now, a robbery situation. But you've been in more dangerous situations in the field. So can you tell us any about those situations? And I know, unfortunately, you did get blown up.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So this is very heavy stuff. So just to give a little indication about that. Thanks, Jason.
So a lot of my missions were high-speed tier 1. My first part of my career, I was doing a lot of stuff in South America. I think a lot of people forgot about the drug wars and how the U.S. was helping those countries. So you got to see a lot of firsthand what works, what doesn't work. And you have to have a shift in your mind to where you're always moving forward, and you have to kind of accept things and override on the spot. That includes seeing your buddy getting either killed or hurt, and you just can't stop. You have to continue with the mission. You'll deal with that later. Just kind of like SWAT police officers and people that deal with a lot of crime and see firsthand. So all of that for me was a little easier than my peers. And I think the main reason is the martial arts background and how you're trained and your breathing and your concentration and, that never give up. If you're
Yes,
knocked down 7 times, get up 8 times,
that's it.
keep
Very
going, keep
motivational.
going. So, yeah, but I was pretty lucky. Through a lot of things that I went through, but there at the end, Desert Storm, I did end up near an IED and other things, and got hurt really bad.
Mm.
Got operations on my hips. Almost lost my leg. They said, "Oh, you'll never do martial arts. You'll never walk again." But the mindset is a beautiful thing. The power of the mind,
Mm.
motivation to keep going and just break through. And I'm back probably 85, 90%. I competed when I was 62, about a year ago in Florida,
Yeah.
and ended up fighting guys 20 years younger than me, and I won the grand championship. So you can do anything you put your mind to.
That's awesome, Jay. What tournament was that in? Which one was that?
That was in Orlando, Florida,
Well, yep.
and that was the World Kickboxing League had a karate tournament on the side. So we had to fight full contact, and they had a seniors division, but nobody entered it. So they allowed me to go with the regular division and the young guys. And yeah, I ended up doing great. So
Congrats, mate. That's awesome. It's really good. It's amazing. Your mind and now you're doing. I know you're not only just teaching martial art, you're also a life coach, which is in all your experiences is the perfect person to be able to relate to adversity, and getting,
yes.
mental toughness, which you develop through martial arts and your military. That's incredible, and what you've been through. So tell us a bit more about your life coaching and how you can really help people through the mindset and your belief system with that.
Yeah. So what I went through, I wanted to show other people they could also do it. I deal with a lot of veterans organization, disabled vets, people with PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
And, you've heard the 22 lives a day, and they just don't have any answers of what works. And I think the martial arts works. So I've implemented some of that. I also work with battered women's groups. Same thing, not combat like we know it, but a different type of combat and abuse and mental abuse.
Yep.
So just having the right mindset and thinking a little bit differently, and you can conquer anything that comes into your life. So the life coaching is a great tool that I use to help other people and give back to the community. And I've also become a Reiki master. So working with energy and getting people in balance so they can move forward and get through things. So I'm a big proponent of self-empowerment.
Love it. Love it. It's exactly like I am with the, personal development and self-development we're doing all the way from kids right through. And that's why my
Yes.
motivation. And that's why I love speaking to other people that are into that improving. It's just, I don't know, I'm in my 50s, you're in your 60s, and yet we're still looking for ways of improving. I just don't settle for anything. I'm still looking at ways to improve my martial arts after 40 odd years.
Absolutely.
My tennis, I recently, after all these years, it changed my forehand to the modern way, for example. And people say, why bother now? I said, because I want to improve it. I want to have a forehand, and it's working. I know those who follow tennis, I don't want to go track, but semi-western grips, and you're coming more this way. With the old days, a bit more straighter. So I had a very stiff kind of forehand before. Now I'm doing it modern way, which is easy for me because it's a front elbow strike in martial arts.
Yes.
So you do analogies. So I'm
Yes.
getting around more, and then I'm coming this way more, and I'm getting with the semi-western grip. For those who play tennis and understand, I'm getting more spin and I'm getting more power, a lot more power, even my age. So I'm really excited about improving my tennis, for example. Now I can finally play again after a little break, which we've all had about from life, as we know. So,
Absolutely.
So now I'm looking forward to getting back to be able to teach martial art as well when we're fully allowed to operate, which is not far away. So Vegas already is happening. LA is probably not far behind, and everywhere else, hopefully, we'll go from there. So, this is just awesome to speak to you. I was going to ask my questions here to double check I've covered everything. So, tell me some of your training methodologies, drill, sparring, and techniques and things like that. I know I've been in one of your seminars where you taught the women self-defense how to use improvised weapons, which was great. How to use your phone or anything on you to defend yourself. So you don't have to get a broken arm or something. And tell us about the more weapons for self-defense. I know we all do the art with weapons, but more for self-defense, improvised weapons. What I saw in that seminar. Tell us about those and your training drills for that.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get people to also think outside the box and start being more aware of what's around them. So I know you also teach a lot of self-defense, and we talk about when you're going from a store or your job to your car in the parking lot, about not being on your phone and being aware and see what's happening around you. And I want to just add to that and have them expand and start getting used to what could I use if I was walking somewhere and there's a strange person near my car? Is there anything I can pick up? Is there anything I can use to enhance my empty hands? So I start giving them examples and just get them to what we call the 360 lifestyle. So not walking around paranoid and,
no,
oh my God, what do I need? But
we've just done that for 3 months with COVID-19. We don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
Wash my hands. Oh no, that's something else.
Oh yeah. So yeah, just get them to be aware but not paranoid.
That's it.
And start thinking outside the box. And also, we live in a different world today, especially now. Things are changing rapidly. So it's not uncommon for you now to go out carrying what I call EDC, or everyday carry, tools, weapons, things on you normally wouldn't, okay? Like a tactical pen in your pocket, a flashlight on your keychain, or a Kubotan stick.
Yeah.
A whistle to blow if you need help, and personal alarms that you can put on you. The main thing criminals do not want is they don't want attention, and they don't want people seeing what's going on. So even a little tool like a personal alarm, that could be the difference between getting kidnapped or going home safe to your loved ones. So yeah, just a lot of awareness. Self-defense starts with awareness before you even leave your house. And it's one of the greatest tools you can have. So
yes, it's so the physical skills, but it's interesting with where you talk about having weapons for self-defense, but I still believe you need to be a weapon. Your weapons are all here, right?
Yes.
Well, they're already on you. Okay, so yes, it's great having an alarm, but if you can't get to it, or you can't get to a mace, or some people carry guns or whatever, which I don't do, but that's okay. I'm not into guns for self-defense. I'm not into guns at all, but that's another story. It's all good. A different culture, I understand all that. But in fact, Australia is not allowed to have guns for self-defense, whereas America can in case of home invasion. Yet that's okay, but it depends on the situation of who's handling it and all the safety courses that need to go with it. So that's another story. But definitely, you've got to know, as you know, how to move, how to block, how to evade, how to get out of this grab, how to get out of that grab, which I do,
Right.
I've got my self-defense techniques video, which I've now put on YouTube for free because I believe that every woman should learn self-defense. So rather than pay $20, just have it for free. I'm happy to do that, just all around the world. So I'm going into, and we've talked about this before as well, and with Alan Woodman, who just wrote a great book about real self-defense for women.
Yes.
It was nice of myself and my wife to be in that as part, which is nice. And at that time we were in Australia and we we're doing the photos and everything and sending them over to him. And it's a very, very good book. It's a must read, I think, for everybody. You can get that from Alan directly or Amazon as well. And it's good tips. And remember that day we did a seminar all together. There's some very good tips you came up with, he came up with, and not just the physical stuff, but even getting into a car. So these vans are now pulling beside a car and they're dragging women into the van.
Yes.
It's disgraceful. So Alan will say, if it comes to that and you're a little bit concerned, either wait a while or go in through the passenger side. So there's not a van sitting there ready to grab you. I mean,
Right.
we don't want to be paranoid, but yes, you have to. It's better to be safe than sorry.
Absolutely.
Right. And we all come from that. Okay. It's like COVID-19. It's
Yeah.
be paranoid. It is better to be safe than sorry. Yeah. Wash your hands, do this, keep your 6 feet, whatever. Try and abide by, keep your immune system up. And you can only so much you can do in certain situations. So also, apparently I've found out that Portland, Oregon is the worst place for the sex trafficking.
Wow.
So this is where we've got to, and my friends I talked about earlier, Josh and Jeremy Roy, the instructors, we're going to do some seminars in Portland, Oregon up there to start this women's program off. As soon as we're allowed to, as soon as they open up a bit more, okay? So,
Right.
So women, and we're looking for sponsors to get behind that. Some corporate, what you call corporate partners is even a better word. They'll get a lot of benefit out of helping women learn these techniques, as well as the safety stuff, the improvised weapons that you're doing, the tips from Alan Woodman and his book, for example. So they all go in together. There's a lot of stuff you can do before you get into this situation.
Right.
To avoid it, right? But you're still going to know what to do in case you get in that situation. I don't like when someone says, "Oh, I'll just pull my gun on them." Okay, you reach your gun while I grab you and we'll see who wins. You know what I mean? Because action's faster than action, right? So if you have a weapon down here or somewhere and someone attacks you, "Oh, excuse me 1 second, I'll just get my weapon out." It doesn't work that way. Yes, it's nice to have alarms, and I agree, and phones, you can use your phone, things like that, but you've got to be able to use your arms and legs.
Right.
Elbow.
Exactly.
You've got to know what to do with them. And the first thing to do is use your feet by running.
Yes.
There's not a lot of instructors that actually teach running away. So when I block and I'm running. So when I'm teaching my seminars, for example, I'm teaching, and that's what you saw that day, I'm teaching block and run. Everything's a run away, which is different from sparring, right? Because you want to get in there, you want to score your points, right? It's totally different from self-defense to point sparring or continuous sparring or, MMA or whatever in the sport, Taekwondo, Olympics or whatever, right?
That's right.
And those situations, you can't go to major areas, right? And you're not running away, you're in the situation. Because unless you want to forfeit and again or whatever, that's it. But in self-defense, you've got a position to be able to run away. Now, I call that self-protection. Because sometimes people think self-defense is, I killed him in self-defense, Your Honor. You know what I mean? And they always think of this, and all this, and they think of, you know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff you can do, being aware, and the tips, as I said, from yourself and Alan, and the improvised stuff you can do before you get to not put yourself in that position. But if you get in that position and you go to block and run, or block and palm at the same time, give them a bit of a stun and run. Stun and Run was one of my TV shows. That once one of those ones said, "Oh, Stun and Run." I like that, when I said it. And then you're away. Now, if they come after you, that's extremely serious. Like they're really meaning business with you.
Right.
Picking on somebody, next I'll get someone else now. They really want you for some reason, and they want to get you. And like in those situations where women are, possibly abducted for the sex trade, right? Homeless women in Portland, Oregon, and things like that. And they can't afford guns, or if they did, they'd probably sell it to make money, right?
Right.
And they can't afford weapons to buy weapons and stuff because they, so they have to rely on arms and legs. So this program is going to give free self-defense to the women who are homeless or, need help as well. I'm also forming this safe foundation for the prevention of violence and homelessness that I want to work with as well through the martial arts and different instructors and helping with that as well, and goods and services charities and things like that. So yeah, so get back to the point though, but it's just, yes, with the arms, the legs, you need to use your legs first, move, block, evade, doing boom, boom, parry them, get them out of the way and run. Hapkido is good for that because it's redirection of force, and then you're going the other way. So in Hapkido, as you know and I know, so in just so people see, a lot of people watching this may not even understand different styles. And I've got to say up front as well, I'm not as Bruce Lee said it himself, even the interview I put on Facebook the other day, he's talking about different styles and this and that, and Japanese way. And he said there's no Japanese way of fighting, there's no Korean fighting, unless you've got 6 arms and 4 legs. That might be different. But we've got 2 arms and 2 legs, so it should be under one umbrella. Like martial arts or traditional martial art. Yes, there is traditional styles. People, that's fine. I respect that. But I don't like when people say one style is better than the other, because as you know, we as instructors, it's the instructor that's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
Right? It's the instructor.
Yes.
Is the one that's had experience. And most of the guys are mixing this and that anyway, right? So for example, I teach Taekwondo to the children because Hapkido's too intricate and I can't have the children ripping wrists and throwing people, and you need a bit more experience before you, or be an adult before you can do. Teenagers,
Right.
okay, but adult, you know what I mean? So I teach Taekwondo for the children. Yes, it's traditional, and we do the Pumse for the gradings. I stick to the tradition. Actually, I've got to say, the first 2 Pumses, I actually took out the punches. Sorry, World Taekwondo Federation, but I did it for a reason. And I put palm pushes in as a non-aggressive technique, right? So I'm trying to teach the kids about non-violence, which I'll talk about in a minute as well, and how to, mindsets and a whole bunch of things to come on from that. And personal development come from that. Then about understanding the concept of violence before you actually had to use it, in that regard. So yes, but in Taekwondo, I still make sure the children know how to get out of holds and grabs, which is pretty much Hapkido. Right. As you know, Hapkido, just for those people who don't know, there's a grading system in martial arts, normally white to black belt, right? And the holds in Hapkido, we do Hoz and Sul, so that's all holds and grabs and wrists. And you can do it's a non-aggressive, like joint twists, wrist locks, pressure points, which is awesome. And then there's more serious if you have to, boom, 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 or whatever. Taekwondo is more Pumse and getting the right form and developing power from all the blocks, and very upright, stiff kind of martial art, but very powerful and more kicks than hands. Hapkido is half and half and more lower kicks, things like that. So you got to differentiate the sport and the art. But I still make sure, even if my kids want to do more of the sport side of it, I still make sure they know self-defense. Because in Australia, I've had Taekwondo instructors come to me to help them teach their students self-defense. And these are high-ranking guys. And they've just done Taekwondo only, and they had no clue about getting out of this and this and this. You know what I mean? Because they weren't brought up that way.
Nice.
It's like when you're doing the retraction. And even I was doing this in my video in 2004, which people will see, the world's best self-defense techniques. I was still punching, and I'll still bring it back because that's just training. It's just from traditional type training. So years beyond that, I've realized that for self-defense, you've got to bring the hand back to here or to here. Or have the guard here, not down here, you know what I mean? Down on the right. So this is where we'll get onto that subject about the difference between traditional and practical. So what's your opinion on that, all the different arts and traditional, practical versus what they all can do for you in different ways?
So I think, I believe all the martial arts are pretty much the same. And I'll say 80% of them came from the same source.
Exactly, right.
So I did a study on that, and actually the biomechanics are amazing. The way they're teaching you to use your body and move your body and generate power, that's all great. The fitness part is great. The stretching and breathing is awesome. And that I put into one category of traditional martial arts as the training. Now, if somebody wants to learn self-defense, then like you said, that's a different animal. You have to train a little different. You have to do some different drills. And one big flaw with the traditional martial arts is I think a lot of the instructors are basing their techniques and their self-defense and even their fighting on the fact that everybody that joins is going to become a warrior, and they have that warrior mindset, and man, just keep training and you're going to become an awesome fighter. And a lot of people are not like that, but they do want to learn practical defensive measures they can take if something happens to them, or they're with their kids shopping or something. So as instructors, we need to level up, and we need to start training like, okay, this is great for sparring, but for self-defense, we need to do this a little bit differently, and we really need to research what works. How does the criminal mind think? Exactly. What have the police departments found out works 90% of the time against a grab or a choke, or somebody's trying to mug you or kidnap you? So we have to really do our homework so we can give the public the best instruction in the world. And the world is changing real rapid. We just saw in the last 2 months
Yes.
how rapidly our lifestyles can change. So things are not going to go totally back to normal. And as martial artists, my favorite saying is evolve or evaporate.
I love it. I love it. Evolve, exactly. You must look at ways of evolving and improving and things like that.
Yes.
Not just look at ways, just because you were taught one way, why do you have
Right.
to keep it going that way?
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? So I read every book in the old days in the 80s. I watched every VHS of all the other, and as well as being taught by one of the best in the world, Sung Soo Lee, Grandmaster Sung Soo Lee. So I was and did seminars with people like Dan Insanto and Larry Hartzell when they came to Australia. Bill Superfoot Wallace, Bill and I did a seminar together.
Oh, yes.
He's a classic, the old Bill. He's very funny. And we did seminars together in 1999. The Australian tour, we went the East Coast. I did Hapkido and he was doing his Superfoot stuff. And Josh Urordi over as well. He did the Tai Chi and everybody loved it. We did like a 4-hour interactive seminar mixing the Josh would warm up with the Tai Chi, Josh Urordi, and then I'd be doing the Hapkido, then Bill come with the Superfoot stuff and we have a break, of course, in between. But they loved it. And people saying to me today, they're still using some of those techniques that was 1999, they taught, I was showing all the wrist grabs and throws and things like that. And Bill was doing his Superfoot stuff. And I used to, my hook kick's pretty good. So I learned it from Bill, really. I was kind of following his hook kick, his famous hook kick.
Mm-hmm.
Always loved his hook kick because I used to practice my love of a hook kick and things like that. It's really effective for sparring anyway. Maybe not so much in a real situation because a real situation, you go waist down. So this is where, again, as you said, we've got to adapt and evolve. All right. So styles are interesting things. So that's what Bruce Lee was trying to say. Jeet Kune Do. It's not a style. It's a concept of this,
right.
This, the best of this, and trying to work it out. Hapkido, yes, it is. Again, it does take elements from all the martial arts, but it developed it. It's not like everyone swaps things, and so it takes the best, it holds and grabs, and there's plenty of wrist lock. For example, in Hapkido, in our first, just to let the viewers know the difference between Australia and America. First of all, self-defense is spelt with a C in Australia, S-E-L-F hyphen or D-E-F-E-N-C-E, just because sometimes they probably see me put things with a C and sometimes an S. In America, it's with an S. So it's S-E-L-F-D-E-F-E-N-S-E. Just let people know I'm not about spelling. So that's why I changed a bit to American Australia. When I'm talking about self-defense, right? So that's one thing, right? But also adapting, as I said, with Bruce Lee, getting back to Bruce, who, again, it's inspired me. I started judo at 11 and watching Bruce Lee movies. And then I got in the playground and I was pretending to beat up all my mates. I was pretending to be Bruce Lee and they were the baddies. And then I was nicknamed Fu. After all that. Now I'm doing Kung Fu, things like that. Well, by the way, that's an interesting point. So going back to styles, okay, this is really interesting because it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like religion and there's politics. Are you a Liberal or Labor in Australia? Are you Democrat or Republican in America? What religion are you? Are you Buddhist? Are you Christian? Are you all the different religions there is, just so many different religions like there's in different styles, and this can cause a lot of arguments and a lot of problems.
Yes.
And we're better than you kind of thing, and it should do it our way, right? I'm not into that. It's like the Bruce Lee interview, and they said to him at the beginning about style, I said, well, there's no style. It's just the concept that I'm doing because I saw all these different styles, but some things work, some things don't, or some things don't develop you in different ways, right? So some styles, develop different ways. That's fine, and depends what you're doing it for. Not everyone does it for self-defense. Not everyone does it just to get in the ring and spar. They just do it for personal development, for example. And it is the world's best it is the world's best personal development system, traditional martial arts. Definitely.
Yes.
It's just incredible what it can do for you. But what I want to talk about now, it's like Kung Fu Ru, right? I named it that because it rhymed. Kung Fu Ru. Hapki Ru. I'm a Hapkido, 7th Dan. Now, that's the other thing. In Australia, or actually, no, Asia is actually Dan. Or Dan, 7th Dan, Dan, whatever. Okay, which way you pronounce it? The Australian Dan. Other people say Dan. Maybe the English say Dan, right? And the Americans go degree. Degree's pretty cool. It's like a university degree, yeah. So yes, so that's let them know Dan and degree are the same thing. Almost typical, say 7th Dan, but also say it has earned the degree in this. So the Americans brought in more the degree system. Just let everyone else know. Around the world, it's not in Asia, it's not the Dan system, and it goes to white to black belt. That's normal, but some people change colors. That's all the way through. That's fine. Or they do tips. That's fine. And then you have first Dan, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth. Right. So this is really good to talk about the different styles and different things that people who aren't martial artists understand as well. And some who are may not even have gone that far, the history, right? They don't may delve deeply. And as I said, like our friend Alan Woodman's written books on this. He's brilliant. His books are brilliant, by the way, everybody. Alan Woodman's books, not just got in one of them, but Women's Self-Defense one. But the other ones, he's got a history of martial arts. So have a look at Alan Woodman's books. They're brilliant. He's a real historian. He's done Japanese karate. He grew up in Japan and since the age of 5. So he's very accomplished and also a world champion as well, and many times over as well. So yeah, that's another thing, looking at the history of things. And I'm really I love history of culture and people and how things develop. And I know you as well, such a nice guy and such a great guy. You know, you're a believer in everyone and everything, right? So you're so modest too, by the way. You're one of the most modest martial artists I've ever met. I'm very, very excited to have you on one of my first programs here. So, but going back to the styles, Jason, so you're looking at calling it this, calling it that. That's fine. Hapkido technically a blend of everything. That's fine. Taekwondo is more the sport and all of that, and kicking and things like that, and not as much contact, only sparring, things like that. And then you've got the traditional karate from Japan. You've got your Aikido from Japan. You know, you've got Kung Fu or from China. And of course, from there, Bruce developed his own Jeet Kune Do, blending this. And he was the original one to say, take a bit of that, take a bit of. He's doing grappling in there, his movies. Yeah. He probably was the original mixed martial artist in that regard. But also Gene LaBelle was a big contributor to mixed martial arts. He's the grandfather of mixed martial arts with his grappling. He's just probably the best grappler ever to mankind, Gene LaBelle. And I've heard so many great things about Gene and his systems, and he's very high regard. You've probably seen him in Jackie Chan movies and different things for everybody. So there's a lot of people that people don't even hear about. They hear about all these stars. They don't know who's behind the scenes. And that's what I'm trying to get into with this journey to the martial arts as well. So again, going back to styles, okay, or systems or different things of how we classify people, or say you're this, you're that, you're Muslim, you're Christian, you're this, Buddhist, you're this, that. Well, can't you just say you're religious? I don't know. Do you have to be, I do this style, do I do that style, I'll do that style, and or can't you just say I do traditional martial arts? I don't know. And what are you? Are you Asian? Are you American? Are you Australian? No, I'm a human being.
Yeah.
Well, okay. That's what Bruce said. You go. If people went back I put that on my Facebook the other day. Watch the end of the interview, that Bruce Lee interview, and he said, do you see yourself more as Chinese or American? Because it was, making it into America. And he said, no, I see myself as a human being.
Yeah.
Now, getting back to these, I don't want to get too political in these interviews, but at the time we are doing this, we've just coming off COVID-19. We've just had a major problem with riots, not just protests, it's fine. And also there's a thing called change.org, by the way, everybody. You can write in things and go to your local person if you've got problems with things. And going into that, and yes, it was caused by one man who was a police officer who did the wrong thing. Now, we're both in a Hapkido. For example, in our first dance grading, it used to be 11 police locks. Now it's 18. We call them police locks. Actual locks that police are meant to use and train in, right? Okay. So that example, Jason, you saw it, the world's seen it. You don't put we had a situation like that in Australia, outside the Star Casino many, many years ago, where the security, and this wasn't a racist thing. I think the guy was Australian. It wasn't like it was different color, right? So I don't want to get into all that, but he was a pretty solid guy, like a bodybuilder guy, and they sat on his chest. They didn't handcuff him at that stage, like this terrible situation recently. George Floyd, but they definitely sat on his chest and he died of asphyxiation. Had all these security people sitting on his chest, right? And that was disgusting. So that, they got charged and everything else. But, there's locks we can do when people on the ground, particularly in handcuffs. I mean, they've already cuffed him. It's not like you're still struggling and trying to beat him up and whatever, and, things like that. So there's an excessive force rule in general life. And there should be obviously an excessive force rule in the police, right? They should know that, train that. And I know I've taught the police, we officially can't teach for the police department, apparently. Well, not in Australia or anyone, I know that in America. They have to have someone internal do it, which is okay for the weapons and things, but I think they should get a decent martial artist who's done a lot of experience in this kind of thing how to lock people up. And as Hapkido, traditional Hapkido, traditional, particularly Japanese Jiu-Jitsu is very good for that. Wrist locks, pressure points. So in that situation, if you're still struggling, I don't know why, I don't understand why they didn't actually put him in the car, but if you're still struggling and carrying on, why didn't they put either their knees on the back of his legs, because he's already cuffed, and just, maybe hold, just hold and make sure, you didn't even have to hold him, just put the knees on the back of the legs on the thighs, for example. All right. So, or put your knee on their tricep. If they're spread out like that, or even handcuffed, you could stick your knee on the tricep. So he could have still turned around and breathed that way, right? Mm-hmm. So you're down like that. I put one knee on one tricep and turn him that way so he can still breathe until he calms down. And then put him in which they should have in the first place. I don't understand why they just take him to the car and then whatever. So that's what we meant to do. So also, what are your thoughts on that incident? And it's very difficult to say whether that was a racist thing. I mean, if the guy was white or Mexican or whatever, would that particular, it's a bit disgusting what he did. I don't even want to call him by his name. That particular police officer, who's now not a police officer in charge of murder, would he have done the same thing? That's, was it really racist, or would he have done the same stupid thing if if a person of different color was acting that same way or whatever? You know what I mean? Because I think it's that mentality of that particular person. So now one person's ruined everything for everyone else. So what's your opinion on that incident?
So my background in the military, portion of my military career was a military police officer.
Right.
And I worked actually at the academy for a while. I've also was trained by the Israeli commanders of the IDF. They came over to Phoenix and they taught us their law enforcement defensive tactics that they do. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of good stuff. The problem is each police department or state has their own rules and regulations on how to do things. And the real problem, the real breakdown is funding. So they may get, in a year, they may get 2 hours of mandatory handcuffing class or defensive tactics class.
Right.
The same with shooting. They may get to shoot once a year on company time, where they have to go to the range and qualify. And then the rest of the year, there's no time to do it unless they do it on their own and on their own money. So those are two problems facing them. Again, not every police officer is a martial artist or has the time or wants to learn martial arts, but we can definitely teach them a better defensive tactics training that's simple and practical. Now, I do know that the procedure, 90% of the police departments around the world, the procedure is once you do have him down and he's cuffed, you roll him up to the seating position.
Right.
And you can keep him there for a while, but like you said, it didn't make sense once he was cuffed, roll him and sit him up and then get him up and put him in a patrol car. I think maybe the guy had a breakdown, the police officer, a meltdown, and the officers that were helping him were juniors. And the same thing happens in the military. Am I really going to tell the master sergeant what to do? I got to watch my career, but I know what he's doing is wrong. So I hope they really reform that And I hope they start teaching that at the academy, that it's okay to maybe check the guy in charge and say, hey, I don't think, he can breathe or whatever. So I'm looking forward that this changes a lot of things, the way things are done. Yeah, there was no reason to be on his neck. Even if he's talking, doesn't mean he's breathing perfectly. So at the point he said he couldn't breathe, they should have checked him out, rolled him up. So yeah, that was a terrible thing. Yeah.
It's just, I was very, I'm normally pretty easygoing and I don't get upset about too many things, but I was just devastated for a week after that.
Yeah.
What happened to George Floyd, and the way it happened, being who I am in the martial arts and knowing what they should have done, I was very upset. I've taught these locks to, well, as I said, initially I couldn't get into the police department in Australia because I wasn't a police officer, apparently, which I think is a bit, but given my experience in Hapkido and everything else and all these titles, I think I should have had a crack at it. But then police came to me in my classes and they said, oh, this is really cool, John. They don't teach us this at the academy.
Yeah.
That's in Australia, right? I don't know what goes on in America. I've not interviewed an American police officer yet. I would like to, but I know what my guys go through in Australia. And one of our Hapkido seventh dans as well, Kevin in Australia, Kevin Lang, he said, yes, they do more the martial art, definitely the locks and things like that, and they train in it more. But I did hear the other day that there's more compliance and more training to become a hairdresser in America than there would be to become a police officer.
Wow.
And you're cutting someone's hair, so what's the worst scenario that can happen? They just get a bad haircut, right?
Right.
Phone's gone off for a minute, Jace, but I can still hear you, so that's okay. So the viewers have worked out what you look like by this stage, but I'll keep going. That's all right. So there you're back again. Yay.
Yay.
Anyway, and so if that's the case, I don't know, that's wrong. The police officers should be trained all the time. You know, you have business meetings, right? For your business, financial, whatever it is. And you have a meeting once a week or you talk about things and get whatever, and you discuss better ways of doing things. So I don't know why they don't have a training session once a week and just go through the locks, the holds, someone yelling in your face. Do they do that? I first saw this when Joshua and Jeremy were teaching with Mike McDonald back in Santa Barbara Martial Arts Academy when I first met them in 1998. And to overcome bullying, they were role-playing, was really, really amazing, actually. They were role-playing them yelling at their kids, not too young, of course, but, and getting the kid to be really kind of, so when the kid actually, it's like he gets punched or something that happens to you, get used to it, right? So if it ever does happen, then they can handle it.
Yeah.
They act, in other words, they role play it. You're this and that, and you're fat, and you're blah, blah, blah. And the kid's just got to stand there and work out a solution of that bullying. Right? So it's role playing or acting.
Yes.
It's drilling it into your mind. How would I react in that situation? It's like when we do a grab or hold. You just got to keep doing it until it's until it's automatic. So what I'm saying here, they should be practicing the verbal abuse. And yes, the police are, I'm telling you now, it'd be a terrible job, being abused at, spat at, yelled at, screamed at, calling them pigs and all the sorts of terrible things. But that's the job. You can't take it personal. They don't know you as Fred Smith or whoever these people are. They don't know you're a really nice person, you've got a nice family and whatever. And then when the police go to work every day, they don't know they could possibly come back. I heard there were 6 police officers got killed in that particular week, not by the riots so much, I don't think. I think one did get shot, actually. I don't think they lived. But just on the line of duty, they get run over by cars, they get shot at, they have bulletproof vests, but they can still get killed. It's a very heavy job, Jason. It's a very heavy job. And like you did in the military. So in the military, you're in a confrontation, but you don't have the opportunity to talk you out of it. You've just got to get in there and do what you've got to do, right? You don't say to them, now, Mr. Whatever, let's calm down now. The police need to do that. Now, I've been watching some videos on real confrontations, and I've seen some of the police officers just go, of course the person's going to go nuts. There's a lady that was screaming at him, yelling at him, and he yelled back. Should you say, okay, it's all good? Should they practice? I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. upset you, but you did not use your blinker or your indicator, or you pulled in front of that person I just saw, or you were speeding, and I just need to talk to you about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know what I mean? So this is the problem. And they've got to be used to being called the worst. And I'm not, by the way, on these shows, unlike other podcasts and different things, no one's allowed to swear on my show. But if I want to use the word frickin', that's okay, right? So they should be used to be called frickin' this and frick F and this and F and that in their face, and get right up close to them and scream and yell and abuse them. And the cop, the policeman, police person, whatever, is just got to stand there calmly and deflect. It's like the bully, right?
Yes.
What does the bully want out of you? A reaction, right?
Right.
So what do? You don't give them a reaction. You just kind of smile and step back. And one of my TV shows still talking about this. You know, keep the smile on your face. I'm sorry for bumping into you. Like at a pub, like a drink, you know, you bump into a guy. Oh, you spilt my beer. And watch where you're going. You know, little things like that can turn into death.
Yes.
From a fight, right? Whether it's between those two people or the bouncers get involved and everyone. And instead of say, step back. So all you do is you step back and hands up. I'm so sorry. And have a smile on your face. I'm really sorry for spilling your beer. I'll buy you another one. And have a smile on your face.
Yeah.
So it's pretty hard to hit someone with a smile on their face, right?
Yeah.
If I went, yeah, mate, you bumped into me first. Oh, yeah, you bloody asshole. Yeah, whatever. How are they going to react? Of course they're going to come back at me and then they'll start throwing punches or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
Same with the bully. Yeah, and then and then they start pushing and then ends up in a fight. Right? So fighting's as bad as you know. It's this, you just got to learn how not to fight. So as you know, that's called verbal de-escalation.
Right.
Verbal judo is an expression in the martial art term. So tell us your ways of that. Now, obviously in the army, that's different. That defending a country, you can't just talk to go, hey, mate, let's have a beer together. I mean, whatever. It doesn't work that way. Let's take it easy. You're in a different situation. But for security purposes, for police, psychiatric nurses, all these people that get involved in these people that start screaming at them, abusing them, calling their mother this and that. Oh, my goodness. And revving their emotions up. And that's going to create a worse situation, right?
Yeah.
So tell us your opinion on that. Because you're a very calm guy, and how would you deal with if someone just started screaming? Say you're in a security situation or a situation in the street, and someone screamed absolute abuse at you and calling you, you're Puerto Rican, right? So they could call you racist terms, right? Okay. How would you react?
Just like you said, de-escalation. I think police officers are probably trained better than most people how to do these things. Mm-hmm. But the problem is they may have just rescued a dead infant. And now they're moving on to the next thing, and somebody's yelling in their face. So it's just a situation, just a lot for people to take, even trained people. Then you got to add other factors, like if you work in Vegas, it's 115 degrees outside, and you're dealing with these people all day long. But I think they're really well trained. It's just that after a while, I think people may have a bit much, so they may snap for a minute, and hopefully they can pull that back, take a step back, and go, okay, let me smile, let me come back, and like you said, and just de-escalate the situation. So, yeah, I think they're very highly trained in it. I just think a situation kind of dictates what happens on that day. So
it's everyone has a bad day at their work.
Yes.
But unfortunately, the police can't. They can't use extra force, whether it's against any race or whatever. It's not. It's a very difficult. It's a very difficult job. But imagine life without the police. Chaos.
Oh, yeah, terrible.
I mean, but who's the first person you call if you got in trouble? I mean, the police have got to be there, and it's a very tough job. And they get less sleep. They do 12-hour shifts. I know in Australia they're doing like 4 days on, 4 days off, but they do 12-hour shifts, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then following week, they might do 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. You know, that switches. They do a day shift, one, and they do a night shift. And then that's not good for your sleep pattern. And as you know,
I think that
sleep
has a lot to do with it. I really do.
The stress and coming off COVID-19 and then thinking, you know, has this person got a weapon? And, you know, so it's, you know, I've seen other videos where, I won't say what color it was, person or anything like that, but they pulled the gun on the police, you know, they went for the pocket. And I'm always, when I'm training people, I say sooner, and same if I got into a real situation where someone went for their pocket, I'd assume they'd be going for a weapon. And what you call it, in Jeet Kune Do, they call it trapping technique or jamming, which we call it jamming technique. So I would immediately jam that hand down onto it, and then bam, I'm assuming they're going for their weapon. You don't pull out a handkerchief and blow your nose in a confrontation. Right? They're going for a weapon. And I've seen videos of this. There's a real life videos on there, and he went for his weapon, and the police didn't even pull their weapon out. They just ran for cover. But unfortunately, this guy started shooting anyway, and a fireman got killed.
Wow.
Okay. They finally got him, and they shoot out and stuff like that. But they didn't immediately go for their weapons. They just kind of ran as he was pulling his gun. They didn't, they could have gone. They didn't even shoot him back until he unfortunately killed the fireman in the background. And then they followed him, then finally got him. But gee, if they shot him that time straight away, then the fireman still might be alive. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. And there's hindsight in everything. There's hindsight in everything, except definitely not that. The one that happened, that police officer that was not on the neck. No. There's no excuse for that. There's no excuse. And there's no excuse for people who are on excessive alcohol or drugs doing it to people, and getting off because, mental illness or whatever. There's no excuse for any violence and any reason from drinking and things like that. Actually, personally, I think drinking shouldn't be allowed till 25. Because that's when the man brain, particularly the frontal lobes, develop 25 years old. So they do stupid things before that. Right? And I think they're invincible. Right? And it's actually 8. At least America's 21, but Australia it's 18. And we do have a lot of alcohol problems. And as you know, I don't understand. I mean, I'll have an odd beer. I don't have alcohol in my fridge. I'll have a light beer because I'm normally driving when I go out with my mates. 1, maybe 2. That's it, right? I'm not a big drinker. I don't have anything at home. But lemon lime and bitters taste nicer to me than a beer. You know what I mean? Well, 1 beer's all right, but I find the taste to be funny after a while anyway. So I just have 1 and then lemon lime bitters or something soft after that or whatever. But the problem is then people's problems, and you being a life coach as well, and me being the motivational speaker, and we talk about these different things about peak performance, right?
Right.
So to me, the martial art I've done everything, and you say we do, is about doing your best at everything and peak performance. It's like we do the grading system, and I say to the kids, you're all a winner. This is not a competition amongst others. That's what I like about martial arts as well. Unless you're doing the sparring, that's a bit different, but generally it's more of a personal development system within, and you're competing with yourself, to get better, and you're a winner, So there is a system where you have to pass your tests. You call it gradings or testing, right? So yes, they have to do a good job. Not like some people just let them pass because they want to keep the kid happy to get a belt, right? Like kids or anyone, you do martial arts because you love it, not because you want to get a belt, a black belt. Black belt's the ultimate goal, right? Oh, by the way, interesting point. Talking about black and white, right? White belt's beginner, doesn't know much, right? The black belt's the ultimate. So there you go. And I've got pictures of me in a black uniform teaching my Solomon Islands beautiful people who are black, dark, in white uniforms. So I put that on Facebook. I think that's pretty cool. Like uniting, that's what I'm trying to say. Uniting, right?
Right.
Black, white, and all colors. And as I said before on Facebook, yes, I've got a Cambodian American wife. I've got, Korean grandmaster, and I love everybody from, just all around. I taught the Solomon Islands last year. The Australian government sent me over to teach for the 16 days of activism for the prevention of violence gender-based violence, they call it, which is really a prevention of for women and children. And we got, and I've been there twice originally from Joseph Dudley, who's took me over privately, and then 3 months later the government said, oh, that was good, so we'll bring you over to teach the women and children self-defense. And they loved it. We did self-protection techniques, had a lot of fun, and they really took to it really well. And and they can learn so much even in a couple of hours seminar, workshop. So, but the point I'm trying to make is uniting people and getting and stamping out things like racism, but that's still, synthetic on certain people. But just because one person's like that doesn't mean they're all like that, right? So that's why the black belt, there you go. The black belt is the highest. The white belt is the lowest. Okay, there's a bit of, no one's probably thought of that before. That's a bit of a interesting. So black people are the best. Yes, that's it. Love it. Better than the whites. All right, guys. So what I'm trying to really do is just bring everyone together. I love everybody, mate. Seriously, even the Puerto Ricans, buddy. Everybody. All right, there you go. All around the world. You've got that background as well. Being immigrant family coming in America. That's really cool. And that's how, same with Australia. It developed originally the Aboriginals, and then they came, England sent them over, and they all developed, and we're a very multicultural country. Wouldn't it be boring if everyone was the same, right? So, my theory is, and I'll get yours on this as well, I don't care country, birth, religion, whatever, as long as they behave themselves. As long as they don't kill somebody, they don't hurt somebody, they don't get drunk and bash their wife. That's all I care about is human behavior. Doing the right thing. Now, we know that excessive alcohol and drugs can come from a bad parenting originally and low self-esteem. Whereas martial arts gives you high self-esteem and self-confidence. And with high self-esteem and self-confidence, you can do anything. Particularly those who made black belt. There's even Psychology Today magazine did a study a long time ago, back in 1985. Those who did martial arts had higher levels of self-esteem, lower levels of anxiety, and more and less likely to be radical, as in stupid things, and more socially intelligent, particularly those who went to black belt. Right, so and we've got a whole bunch of articles now, even on my website, martialmotivation.com, all about the benefits of martial arts, of traditional martial arts, and philosophy. Now, I found the more you do it, aggressive people calm down. You get the aggressions out and anger out, like anger management, punching bags and things like that. And then shyer ones bump up. So it's a very good psychological leveler. So my goal is to get the whole world united through traditional martial art training with obviously the good instructors, not the Karate Kid instructor originally. Cobra Kai, you get that in anything. Get them all in traditional martial arts. And then I really truly believe, I can guarantee this for sure. I put all my world titles on with Dan's, whatever, that the world would be a much safer, much more just a greater place to live, because people will be so much calmer. So your opinion on that?
I totally agree. And I think they just did a study that showed that the more people that put that emotion out into the universe, or that vibration, that they can actually make that happen. So, that's why you'll see sometimes they'll have a meditation day, world meditation, or world Tai Chi day.
Yeah.
And it's just putting that energy and that vibration out. There's a little shift in the world, and it makes it a better place. So, yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I totally believe that that's the things that need to happen. So, yeah, we need to help that happen.
Well, believe me, I'm working on that, starting with the women's self-defense programs and things like that. But I'll tell you another thing. Well, I'll ask you another thing. Why is it that people are scared to take up martial art or not even try it? What do you think is the issue there?
I would say Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
The impression that Hollywood has put out there.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, Karate Kid's a great example, the Cobra Kai, where they were more like developing bullies,
mm-hmm.
and all for that stuff. Yeah, I think there's a stigma that, to do karate, you have to do dedicate your entire life to it. And you're going to have to train every day when you get home from school, and, you know, train in the middle of the night and do better. And yeah, I think we have to change that stereotype and start letting them know it's a safe place. It's a safe place to come and learn and develop yourself.
I've never had an injury in martial arts. It's all been my tennis, throwing myself on a tennis court. And injuries when I was younger, football, we did rugby union when I was from 6 to 14. Then I switched to rugby league. I did both actually one Saturday, and then the following day played again. So I would love my football. We call it football there. No, football's another term for soccer in England. But rugby league, and then my knee got crunched. And by about the fourth game of the season, my knee got, and that's what. Then I was in a plaster cast for a while. This is the age of 14. And when that got better, my auntie said, "Come and play tennis. That's a much safer game," you know. And I'd already done a couple of years of judo, 11 and 12 at that stage, but then I didn't do, it was called Phil at school, but then didn't do martial art then. But then got into tennis and took that very seriously and got right into tennis. And then ever since then, yes, then I took it at 18, then I got left school, got my driver's license, and then I went off to karate and then found some Grandmaster Sung Soo Lee after that as well. So it's been a brilliant journey for me personally. And I've written about it in my book, Think Big, in the book with Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is a free copy on my website for people as well. They can check that out about the journey. You know, so that's why it's good to interview. I've said my piece on different things, but I like to get other people's opinion, like yourself, who's so well respected in the industry as well, like yourself, and so experienced in both the military side and the art side. So it segregates that personal development, self-defense from the military system that you had to learn to protect, basically save your life. And so what about the impact of UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship, which then kind of started calling it mixed martial arts? Has that had a positive impact or a negative impact or something in the middle? Or do people think, oh my God, I'm not going to do martial arts because I have to go in a ring? Or what do you think about that?
So many of my traditional martial arts friends, masters, grandmasters, they all took that really bad when the UFC came along. And I think part of the reason is they saw a lot of the traditional techniques just didn't work when you went full contact, all out. And the boys from Brazil, you know, they didn't make it one style only. It wasn't just jiu-jitsu competing. It was opened up to everyone: boxers, wrestlers, taekwondo, karate, kung fu guys. And then everybody got a wake-up call. So their answer to that was, well, it's not real martial arts. It's not traditional. You know, they don't have any values and this and that. But I work with UFC fighters, MMA people here in Vegas, some of the nice people you want to know. A lot of them have traditional martial arts values.
Yes, background, that's good, yes.
Yeah, I think we have to remember that it's a sport like professional football. You know, these are world-class athletes on another level who their job is to train every day like a professional boxer or a football player. So they're at a higher level, they're competing, it is a sport. So many of them are not going to be doing the forms and the katas and the bowing and things like that. But I think it is a really great addition to the martial arts. I think it's taking up where Bruce Lee left off, and they're taking it to another level, and we just have to look at it that way. They're not trying to put traditional martial arts down. They don't really care what we do. They're just doing something a little different, and we can learn from them. We've already learned what works as far as locks and holds and training, especially the training. I think they've taken it to another level. I incorporate a lot of what they do. I look at what they do, see what works, what doesn't work. That way I don't have to get in the ring and get hurt or get my leg broken. So I love it. Like you said before, we're all part of this gigantic, comprehensive sphere, which is martial arts. And this is just one part of it.
That's right. As long as people understand they don't have to do that and they won't get hurt by doing traditional, and there's pad work, a lot of pad work, and you don't have to do sparring straight away. I don't like when instructors bring in sparring too early to white belts or yellow belts. I don't.
Right.
Correct, because it can scare them. and they could get an injury. And see them, they get so many people. So yeah, I did that for about 3 months. I said, well, why didn't you keep going? Oh, they made me find this guy that really beat me up. I went, oh, they should.
Yes.
So to all the martial arts instructors out there, guys, please don't have white belts and yellow belts doing fighting, sparring. I teach them non-contact 3-step sparring, and I'll do it with them. Front kick, side kick, palm strike. Hey, the other person does front kick, side kick, front. And this distance. Maybe it's got to be 6 feet now. Anyway, now we've got an excuse now. 6 feet, right? COVID-19 style. Corona karate.
Yeah, there you go.
COVID-19 karate. So it's 6 feet, and then they can't hit each other. When I'll be doing the lessons on Zoom, because at least you can't hit each other, so everyone face each other. I've been doing virtual sparring on Zoom for my kids back in Australia. On Zoom here, and they've been sparring each other on Zoom, and it was really cool, and they'd react to the technique, and then I hit each other, but just be careful, don't kick the kitchen sink or something, or kick the lounge, because make sure there's plenty of room around you. Getting them to try and go outside now with their sneakers on and things like that. But so that's been going quite well. It's only probably I couldn't do bag work with them, but I asked their parents or an older sibling to hold a pillow or something, and because it is good to hit something. So when we're teaching beginners, always make sure they hit a pad, a soft pad, like these. So we do it. So things like this. So you do blocks, doing blocks. Right?
Yes.
These are fun. The noodles are fun. Because I know a lot of other martial arts instructors or aspiring martial arts instructors are looking at, this video in the future and thinking, oh, okay, that's good to know. Because their instructors might have done it this way. Right? It's like bad parenting. Just because you have bad parenting, you got to stop. You got to stop. You got to try and change yourself. Just because your parents hit you doesn't mean you hit your kids, right?
Right.
So it's not pads to do; it's what you do about it counts. And then pads like this are great for the palm strikes, and then you got your bigger pads for the kicking and front kicks and side kicks, etc. So, and it's a way, and a lot of people don't even know how to hold pad properly. That's the other problem.
Right. Oh
God, instead of holding the shoulder anyway, or holding it away from their body, which they should do initially, unless they can do that later when they're more experienced and stronger. So there's a lot of stuff you can do for safety. And I've always said to the kids, look at, if you slipped now, what would you hit? Like, and that's away from the wall, right? So come on, keep a distance for the person as well as the wall. Now with COVID-19, I say keep it 6 feet. We're used to doing that now, so it might help us keep the kids apart, get them to behave a bit better as well. Not talking to each other. So an excuse to say 6 feet, 6 feet. But so even learning how to do pads. First thing I had to get a beginner to do. I don't teach them traditional like must bring the hand back here. I'll teach them stand there, just put your arm up. Yeah, then that's good. Then I'll gradually get to this, and actually do this now. Actually teach them that. So I'll do, back to the hand, back to here, or even open hand, and then some palm pushes, and I don't teach punches the kids until they understand the concept of violence. And then we'll do the pads, dodging it away of this one, or hitting the pads and palms on the pads, blocking on the pads, stuff like that. So then they get fun with it. So sparring's got to be something that's, it's good to do it. Don't get me wrong. It's very important to learn how someone come at you and how do you react. But it's got to be introduced gradually. Very gradually, and it's got to be individualized to that kid's temperament or their ability and things like that, because you don't want to get hit and they never do it again. And this is a problem, Jason. It's like anything. I remember being at school, obviously at school. I was really good at maths because I had a good maths teacher, but I was not good at physics because I had a really bad physics teacher.
Yes, exactly.
He just didn't be interested in it. Yet they're kind of related in a lot of ways as well. I just wasn't interested in it because I had the worst teacher. Yet in maths, thank you, Mr. Weathered, if you're still alive. Yes, I had great. And then I love maths and economics. And there's certain subjects I excelled at school because I had a good teacher. And I've excelled at martial arts because I had a good teacher. But not only that, teachers, I've got a whole bunch of them. But Stung League, of course, has been my main one from, originally others, which are great too. But then I implemented what they taught me. So that's a difference as well. I actually implemented all of that and practiced it and
Yeah.
did it. There's no point just going, oh, I did my lesson now. And, you know, I mean, even my kids on Zoom lately, I said, tell me the truth, guys. I've been saying this for a while now. Come home from school, in case without school, have a glass of water, practice your pattern for 10 minutes. Has anyone actually done it? No, you're not going to get in trouble. And they go, oh, no, we meant to. Have you actually gone on my website, looked at the patterns that, you know, the forms say that I put on there specifically and have asked your parents to take you on there? So, well, we're going to. The only thing one kid said, he's watched I did that short movie One Shot when we won that acting course back in Action Star back in 2016 in Australia, and early 2017 we did the 40-minute movie One Shot, and I was the evil grandmaster in that one, you know. And he said, but I've watched the movie 17 times. I said, you kidding, really? I said, well, Zach, I think that's a compliment. He loved my movie, that short movie I did. That's on YouTube as well. I actually opened that up recently as well for people who have a look on YouTube, a bit of fun, see if I can get an Academy Award or not. But I said, no, that's great. I said, that's great, Kay, but now I want you to practice your forms, your patterns. Because you can tell, you go week by week, and they still the same, or they forget something, and you go, you know they haven't practiced. And I was trying to say to them, guys, if you get your forms right, not only can I grade you to the next grading, I can teach you some other cool stuff. Now you understand the concept of violence, and violence is a really bad thing. But some really cool self-defense stuff, and whether it's shadow movement on Zoom or when we finally get back to face-to-face or whatever, things like that. So this is where it's interesting. You know, just say, just do like homework, just do 10 minutes a day, you know. So I'm going to put another email out to the parents this week and say, please get them to practice their pattern before the other day to really break them down, you know, things that go slowly to make sure they memorize it. And I said, it's good for their memory, you know. It's important to memorize things or help their memory. Okay, we've lost you again there, Jason, on the phone. Well, this has been a great interview. It's gone longer than I even thought it would be. It's been awesome. We exchanged some ideas here. Are there any training? Do you appreciate any particular range or type of techniques? Okay, so just tell me a bit. We'll go back on now about your style. Some of the questions, Jason, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, cool. I've lost your photo, but that's all right. Everyone knows what you look like by now, so that's good. I've got a few questions on here. We talked about, do you teach and practice strategies to avoid contentious encounters? Well, yes. If so, what are they? Yes. So let's go back on that. And some main methodology for training. I just gave you a few of mine ones, different ones, but let's have a look at that. And specialize in particular range or techniques. Do you feel the strength of your art, Is it relevant to modern self-defense needs? So just comment on that. Starting with the, what are your main training methodologies, drills, and sparring and techniques, etc. And I've seen that, which are awesome, by the way, at your improvised weapons seminar. So you can let the viewers know about that. Thanks, mate. Even though they can't see you at the moment, but that's okay. They can hear you.
Okay. So as far as teaching to avoid the encounters, that's the first step in self-defense, right? Is avoid, be aware,
There you are.
And not be in the wrong place at the wrong time. So, so with that said, I teach the 360 lifestyle. Just make it a common day thing. Don't be paranoid. Just kind of be aware of your surroundings and what's happening. Use common sense.
Yeah, look around.
You know,
straight, walk confidently.
Yeah, because they look for they want somebody who's weak or who looks like they can be intimidated, you know, like walking with your head down and so forth, instead of walking straight up with confidence. You don't want to walk down alleyways and stuff like that. So just common sense stuff. And again, you touched on something that's really important, and I've been teaching it forever. I don't know why other instructors don't do it. Scenarios, realistic scenarios, and acting.
Yeah.
Really acting. And getting in there and doing it over and over and over till you become comfortable with it. And when it happens in real life, you're like, oh yeah, we did this in the dojo the other day. Yeah, okay, I know what's happening next. Yeah, I know what he's gonna do next. Okay, I know what's happening. So again, like we talked about, we have to up our game as far as training, drills, scenarios, acting. Yeah, let's do the best we can for the students. So.
That's right. Every system needs to really look at that or style, not just go from traditional purposes, because things have changed over the years. So as I said, you can see me in my video in 2004 doing more of the traction back to the waist. I'm still multiple punching, but I'm doing it back to the waist. Whereas now punching back to here, you know? And
exactly.
curl and lock and how to block correctly. And I'm doing this instead of this back to here. I'm teaching this for beginners anyway. But of course, traditional for gradings. And I say to the kids, this is for your grading. And we've got to respect the tradition of, Hapkido Taekwondo in that regard for the syllabus. But in a real situation, you've got to get your hand hit. You don't get hit in the jaw, the nose, because that really hurts. And you get knocked, right? You get knocked out here. Put the nose really hurts. You've got to protect yourself, and then you can come from there. And I really love all the different types of, of course, you've got your boxing style punches. I do a lot of palm stuff and multiple palms. I love Jeff Speakman's Kempo. Jeff, we could promote him to the seminars. Well, he's awesome. And those in Vegas, yeah. So it's a whole bunch of different things you can take from different aspects. And then there's a non-aggressive side of just someone grabs you and you can just peel their hand away and say back off, and they kind of think, oh, I better not hurt that person. We had an article once in the paper, I had an article once years ago in the paper, and it said, Alec has the secret, like the big martial arts secret, and it was my student, Alec, who came to me because he's a bully. He was being bullied in the cricket team, right? Cricket's kind of like baseball, but a bit different underneath. For those who don't know, cricket's like this, and we bowl like this instead of pitching like that. Okay, in Australia, you can Google if you want. Okay, so he was really keen to keep his cricket going, and he refused to stop playing cricket because he was being bullied by certain kids, right? So he came to me and learned and everything, and he got his confidence up and taught him the verbal ways and everything like that as well, and what to do. But then one day, one of the kids did strike him with a punch. And Alec just went bam, bam, like really bam on his arm. And the kid went, friends. The kid just went, oh, geez, this kid knows what he's doing. I'm not going to take this thing further, as bullies don't. So when they say get physical bullied, you don't mean punch them out or anything like that. A block, as you know, but it's not really a strike. It's a block, right? So you're stopping them. So the force meets force, and you're out of forearm. And it hurts. So that was the secret. It wasn't some big muscle up mover like that. And that's why in the movies, of course, they do the fancy stuff and the throwing one around. And even in my self-defense routines, I do some practical stuff, but I also do some fancy stuff to sell it a bit and key up it and doing all that and make it exciting. I know most of the stuff I do in those routines, I wouldn't use in a real situation. Like in China, when I got attacked by 5 guys and robbery, I just punched and kicked. I originally did kicks first, then I went bam, 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 bam. Long story, but there's an article on my website about that on johngill.com.au, but boom, 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 and it worked. I was running as I was punching and I got through them all, I didn't stand in the middle like a Bruce Lee movie and do da-da-da-da, right? You actually got to run and strike, and that's why it takes a lot of block and run, block, strike, and run to actually teach, for example, moving out of the way and blocking and striking. So that movement at the same time. So against a straight punch, and then that's enough to go, and then you run. And you may only need 1 minute or 30 seconds to get to a main street or someone helping you. And once you hit them there, they go, oh, I'm not going to touch that person again, So, yeah, so can you still hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
We've lost you again. But I'll just go on to, are you feeling strength in comparison? Okay, so that's fine. We've talked about pretty much that with the arts. That's good. Have you had besides the army, besides the in the armed forces, have you had to use your self-defense in a real situation?
Yes.
So unfortunately, growing up in New York City,
Right.
It just trouble just comes looking for you, and so I've had to use the arts more than I wanted to, mugging situations, subways, so forth. But the training I had actually worked really well. And again, just a lot of, like you said, stun and run or get out of the situation. And just kind of knowing from practice what's going to happen next. So your confidence is up and you take control and command of what's happening. Yes. And just end it as soon as possible.
Yes, exactly. So just get away. Rather than learning how to fight, you learn how to defend, protect first, defend, and get away. You know, she's not getting into that actual street fight if you can actually help it. And then that's the problem with taking someone. I know you can be taken to the ground, but I really teach my students to get up as soon as they can, not to try and put them in an armbar or choke them out, because then the problem is the person you're fighting with, someone, often their friend or even some spectator, even some bystanders think that you're the attacker, and this has happened.
Yes.
Where they kick you in the head. You could have been taken down by the attacker. Someone's walking down the street and they think you're the perpetrator, and they come kick you in the head when you're on the ground choking out the attacker. They think you're attacking them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This is with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, with due respect, it's great as a sport, but armbars, chokes, fine as a sport, but get off that ground as soon as you can.
Yes.
Don't turn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu mats on the ground. So you've got to learn, because they say, a lot of fights end up in the ground, but remember, they actually start standing up.
That's right.
You've got to
That's absolutely correct.
Good enough to avoid it when you're standing up. And you also, with our ground defense system, I just teach striking stuff on the ground and eye gouging, and that's the perfect time to, rather than grapple and trying to grab their arm, go straight in their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm talking about a serious situation, of course. So, you know what I mean? So as far as self-defense, again, the UFC, as much as we can learn a lot from it, or mixed martial arts, not there's a lot of art in it, but mixed martial arts, yes, you can learn a lot from it. But remember, they're not allowed to gouge the eyes. They're not allowed to hit the groin. There's certain areas they're not allowed to do. So, but in a situation, that's where you go to. Now, I want to emphasize everybody, I'm the most peaceful person on the planet. But if it's your life is in danger, and I get the kids say this out loud, by the way, affirmations are more powerful out loud than just thinking.
Right.
And positive. So I said, only if, okay, everybody, this is to be used only if it's a dangerous situation. They say that with me. So I get them to say that. Well, that's why they do the I can do it stuff in motivational seminars, and they yell out, well, you can do it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So affirmation is more powerful saying it rather than thinking it. So then positive frame of mind, there's a whole bunch of stuff involved in that, as you know. So, yeah, just get off the ground as soon as you can and get up and drop it on them, or get them with eye gouge to get up. Don't try and armbar them or choke them out, because it's just not going to work. You've got to get up. And you get a more dangerous situation, so it's still got its merits as far as locking someone up. Now, all that stuff, the chokes, that's why they tap out, because they can't breathe.
Right.
So that's why you don't do that in security and police, right? That makes sense,
right?
Because they can't breathe. So at least in the fights, have a referee just can stop and go, that's it, stop. Before they get choked death, they kept going. They could be really, so he makes the decision for you, the referee.
Mm-hmm.
Big John McCarthy in most of the cases, and a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
And he's one that's had a lot of experience in BJJ. So an interview with him is awesome.
Right.
He's great, as a referee. Other referees I've seen that don't stop it quick enough.
Yeah.
Or you've got to tap, right? You've got to recognize, yes, I'm tapping to get out of this to save my life in the situation. So you've got the advantage of that. And it's good to see in that regard, arm bars and different things tapping out rather than boxing where it's all to the face. So that's one advantage of the UFC or mixed martial arts. In that regard, there's ways of still winning without having to punch someone in the head all the time.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what I think makes it a little bit more interesting in that. Then it was as you know, with Hoist Gracie originally, and he wore the gi, which I don't know. I'd like to see them wear the gis if they're going to use the word martial arts. I'd like to see them wear their gi. I really do. Whatever grade they are in that, whatever. But anyway, that's another thing. Rather than look like a wrestler kind of thing. Otherwise, just stick to the word Ultimate Fighting Championship, maybe.
Yeah.
They call it mixed martial arts, it's ironic. They call it Ultimate Fighting Championship with Hoist Gracie wearing an actual gi, and then people stop wearing gis, and then they start calling it mixed martial arts. But to me, martial arts is in the gi. That's the word. That's what you wear as a uniform, right? But anyway, that's all right. Yeah. But so long as people understand, I suppose the point I'm trying to make is, as long as the public understand the difference. That's why I'm using the word traditional martial arts in my advertising a bit more, or different talks about. So I don't want people thinking they have to jump in a ring, mixed martial arts. Even though Aikido, as you know, is the original mixed martial art. Similar to what Bruce Lee was doing with Jeet Kune Do, mixing this, mixing that, taking that, this one, that one, this one, that one, whatever, bit of everything, right? Grappling, throwing, sweeping. everything from all the holds and grabs. And that's what Hapkido does. It's got everything, lower kicks, everything, high kicks, whatever. It's got everything. So that's what we call the complete art of self-defense, or the original mixed martial art, as you know, being a Hapkido guy. But again, I don't want to get into which style's the best or who's what or whatever, because, but it comes down to the instructor as well. And yes, Hapkido has won me all these world titles and other titles in self-defense, right? Because I like their practicality side of it, and I've got the non-aggressive side and the serious side against. You notice in my routines when I do them, if people watching want to see it on YouTube, against a grab, I'll do it like an armbar or a joint twist, right? But the moment they start punching me, I get more serious and I might strike back. If they pull a knife on me, then I really give it to them. And that's how I teach.
Yeah.
Even my routines I do for the world champs and all the other tournaments, I do it that way. Against a grab, I'll just do it. I'll do an armbar and lock them up a bit. They punch me, I'll give them a bit of a nudge back, right? Fight fire, as I say, not using excessive force. They pull a knife or a gun on me, then they're really going to cop it, right? Then I'll go bam, 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 multiple punches and elbows and really give it to them, right? That's how I teach the same way I know you do too, in that regard. And if it gets really serious, yes, you have to use improvised weapon against a rape for women and things like that. So, mate, this, so it's interesting. So yes, going back to, for example, styles, and as Bruce Lee was saying, as I was talking about earlier, so now with Kung Fu Ru, for example, even though people say, but John, you're not promoting your style, which is Hapkido and Taekwondo. Can't we call it? I said, well, Hapki-Ru doesn't rhyme. Taekwondo doesn't rhyme, like Kung Fu Ru does. Right? So, but then what I'm going to do, you know what I'm going to do to make sure all my mates are happy out there? I'm going to have Kung Fu Ru's cousins, which will be Hapki-Ru, Taekwondo-Ru, Jeet Kune-Ru, Wing Chun-Ru, Kempo Kangaroo. Okay, right? Judo-Ru, that rhymes. BJJ rule, whatever, I don't know, mixed martial art rule. I'm just going to keep all my mates out there. I know you guys are watching this and you're thinking, but it sounds like Kung Fu, no, I'll call Kung Fu Ru's cousins every different name, right? Or, you know, Aikido-Ru or something, Aikido-Ru. Try and make it, you know what I mean? But yeah, so I'm going to have his cousins doing that as well. So keep everybody happy about their styles, all right? But guess what? His cousins aren't going to be different religions, everybody, okay? So I'm not going to get into that. I'm not getting into this religion, that religion, this one. I'm more into philosophy. My wife's Buddhism and brought up that way, and I love the Buddhist philosophy. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit, all these things. Oh, it's just beautiful. Thou shalt not kill should be in everything, of course. You know, of course, some religions think you're going to go to heaven and get 72 virgins or something ridiculous, but they don't realize it's actually going to be a 72-year-old virgin, as the joke says, or it could be a virgin of the opposite, of the same sex, right? That's not going to do any good, is it? So yeah, that's the old joke. They think they're going to go to heaven and do all that. So it all comes down to talking about that. It really comes back down to your belief system, right?
Right.
So and parenting. So let's go back to zero. You're born. Let's talk about that for a minute, because this is really, really exciting. This is what I'm trying to do with Kung Fu Ru, right? And all the other Rus, to develop the children between 0 and 7, particularly. I'll go a bit further, but I said originally 12, but I think probably up to about 9, but particularly 0 to 7, for example. And that's why I'm talking about non-violence and being nice to people and all that stuff has come through, right? So if we go back to originally parenting, okay, so I'm a big believer in, I think that you get a license for a car, you get a license for this, you get a qualification for that, right? There should be compulsory parenting courses, not just learning from your mum and dad, right?
That'd be good. Yeah.
This is how a lot of things can be solved. You need role models from an early age, and some of the parents aren't role models.
Right.
So I'll go back a little bit to something I saw the other day. Okay. Now, yes, I am going to call them black and whites. Okay. Whatever, or different color, whatever. they had people lining up, right? I didn't want to put on Facebook because sometimes you put things on Facebook and people take it the wrong way and they think you're supporting it. I don't know, it's just weird. But anyway, so I sometimes I put things on, just work out your own opinions. But from here, they had everyone lining up in a race, and the guy said, I'm going to give everyone this $100 bill to the person who wins the race. Now it's a mixture of white, black, different Hispanic, it's different, right? Different races in the race. Okay. So this is how it started. He said, we're going to work out, is the race going to be fair? So let's look at as in, is life fair for everybody who's born? Okay. So he said, take a step forward if both your parents stayed married throughout their whole life, right? So some of them step forward, all white, some I said, in this, it's all on there, right? And then he said, take another step forward if they, hold on a second. Take a step backwards if you only had one parent. Things along those lines. And then unfortunately, some of the, different races were stepping back, okay, because they had one parent. Okay, take a step back if you had no, like just brought up by your auntie or no parents at all, and then people step back. Take a step forward if you had went to college, and it was all these different questions. Okay, so obviously the long and the short of it was, yes, no matter what color it was the parents that stayed together, or at least had one successful parent in their life, that the kids kept stepping forward. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they had a head start.
Yeah.
True head start is not what race or religion you are. The true head start is if you had a great parenting and upbringing. Because as you know, 0 to 7 is incredibly critical on your belief system and how and some kids are bashed, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And I have this thing in my seminars about it's not what happens to you, what you do about it. But some people find that tough, and then they go to drugs and alcohol, and have low self-esteem. That's why I'm trying to introduce the martial arts from a really early age.
Mm-hmm.
There's no punches in Kung Fu. Kung Fu does not punch. Kicking, made a couple lower kicks, mainly some basic ones. No violent kicks, all blocks and evades. So he's teaching non-aggressive stuff. So I'm not going to teach any of the kids punching or kicking, as in more serious stuff, until they understand the concept of violence and the consequences of violence.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got to start young. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do by getting everyone into martial arts through Kung Fu, Kempo Ru, whatever, Hapkido, Taekwondo, Jeet Kune Do, whatever. It doesn't matter what style. I don't care. I mean, other instructors are quite welcome to talk to me as well and bring it, if they want to bring it to the school and get the kids into it. It's a full philosophical and life skills program.
Yes.
And education. This idea about a movie, and he's traveling around and they're educating themselves on history and geography of different countries as well. There's 195 countries in the world, 7 continents. A lot of people don't even know that. It was really funny. Even years ago, on one of my first trips to America, I was down in, I think it was south of America. It might have been Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, around that area. And I met a guy, a white guy, and he said, he said, he said, who's meant to be educated. He said, where are you from? Where are you from? I said, Australia. He goes, is that part of South America? No, it's down under, and we fought pretty much all your wars with you. Right? Oh, okay. So I have heard, and you guys would be better than me, that a lot of the kids in America don't really learn a lot about, there's 52 states in America. I understand there's a lot to learn and a big history. I understand that. But Australia's history is a lot shorter, and there's only 7 states. So it's not as big. Let me count that. There's different areas. So it's a lot easier to learn about other countries in geography. But, it's important. Education, Jason, education on anything. And even education on history, geography, accepting different races and religions. So if you learn about other countries, then you'd learn about their history and their races and religions in that country. Whether you agree on it or not, that's fine, but you must at least be open to what their culture is. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
So to the viewers as well, and become truly multicultural in our belief system.
Yeah.
Right. So going back to what I said before, wouldn't the world be boring if we're all the same? And I know that Adolf Hitler tried to do that unsuccessfully, thanks to guys like you protecting our countries, things like that. My dad was head of radar in World War II, he was head of the radar. He used to flight lieutenant. He was the top guy in radar in the Admiralty Islands and those islands off Australia, protecting Australia with the Americans.
Yeah.
From the bombers coming in and things like that. But you say you got to watch those Americans, a bit trigger happy. We were scared. Well, they were scared more of some of the Americans than the Japanese. He has some pretty cool stories, Here's a joke about Dad used to have these stories, which my cousins still remind me of, about how he killed was it 100 of the, I want to say nationality, 100 of the enemy with 99 bullets and all this kind of stuff, and a story that one went through. It's a joke, but my dad had a really good sense of humor, but he was a tough man. I got belted a bit. I was a bit hyper as a kid, and I was youngest of 5, so I got belted a bit. And I never held that against him or anything. And one day I gave him I talk about it. That's all right. But even as, it came off the war, you see. He came off the war, World War II, right? And it changed him. He ended up being top. He was studying at the time, and he was top doing engineering and top of his class and top of his, university and all that stuff. And then they took him into the war and became in radar because all the technology, right? So he contributed, and he led the radar march every year. But he ended up being president of the RAF Association, Royal Australian Air Force Association, all that for a lot of years, and going to meetings, and he was very proud of what he did. I'm very proud of him as well, what he did. Like, we are proud of you and your compatriots, of what you've defended this beautiful country as well. So, but yes, he had a toughness about him. And I think that was the other issue, Jason, I want to talk to you about just briefly. This has been a great conversation, but just talking about, we love all the psychology stuff and why people do things. So there's obviously been an issue with post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay.
Yeah.
All the wars, obviously World War II, through to Vietnam and everything like that. So this is where he became pretty tough. He was pretty tough on his boys there. And he's very dedicated to his, my mum had a bad back and she, from nursing, so she could only have children. She couldn't work again. In those days they often did that anyway. And he was a main breadwinner. She was very focused, being top of police telecommunications. So we're lucky in that regard. We weren't short of a penny. So I can't say I came from a terrible background in that regard. But there's other aspects that he wasn't so, fatherly with as well. And mum was more, quick duck, if father's coming home, it's going to be a bad mood. He's at the office, and oh, what are your kids doing here? You know what I mean? So there's a little bit of that. I'm not saying there's violence or anything like that. That's fine. There's more of a big brother had to go at me a few times, so I took up judo at 11. But kids, siblings are like. I was the youngest of 5, and the next gap was 5 years, so I was pretty behind that. But I still believe I had a great family life. There's no problem there, and the martial arts just accentuated it. And sport things helped my confidence as well. Different sports, cricket and football before that, and things like that. So, and luckily, unlike apparently Chuck Norris, I was lucky. I was naturally hand-eye coordinated, right? I think it came from my mum actually, because even though she didn't do sport because of her back, she was good at ping pong, right? And she had really amazing reflexes and things like that. So I think that came from that. And Dad was sort of more of a scholar. But we did win the father and son tennis when I was like 15, when I first started playing 16 or something, at the 16 at Vates Tennis Academy together. That was a nice bonding thing to do. But other than that, we didn't. He used to coach a football team and be around, but he wasn't a real sports person, He's more of a scholar and just getting the family organised financially and everything else, and with his RAF association as well. But sorry, getting back to parenting, so that's what I'm just going back on that, and the psychology behind that. So yes, I think privilege is from actually having not what color you are, it's from having 2 parents to stay together.
Yeah. And
second privilege is at least one that is at least a better role model or looks after them if the other one doesn't so much, and it still pays attention to you. And I think that's very, very important. So I believe, and that there should be a parenting course written up by psychologists, and not everyone should be a parent. And this is where it's very, it's difficult.
Yeah.
in that regard. So I think it looks at the background of the parenting and where you come from and poor and rich and all of that stuff and whether you can afford it. And it's very, 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 very difficult, particularly as you know, over the years, housing prices gone up. We've had recessions. Money is another issue, a very stressful issue for people, lack of it. And so I'm very upset seeing homeless around here. It wasn't so much in Australia, a little bit, not much. But here it's everywhere. And I just bugs me. And that's why I want to get my safe foundation for the prevention of violence and homelessness up and getting people off the streets and getting them an opportunity to do something, or getting corporates behind it, or I don't know, eventually if I do well with stuff, I'd probably pay them myself and get them saying, Kung Farouz, pay me so you don't do something, maybe advertise a business. I've seen some business do whatever, anything to try and get them some work or some sort of something in life. But also, this also goes back to not just bad parenting, Jason, but also the wars. You would have seen a lot of your friends go through post-traumatic stress disorder syndrome. Okay, you would have seen that. And you're seeing Vietnam vets. I'm an ex-Vietnam vet and they're homeless now. And I know there is things in place to help them. But what's your opinion on that? And how can we solve that? Or it's too late now, the war's already gone, but hopefully never get another one for sure. But what's your take on that and what you've seen with post-traumatic stress disorder and things like that?
So it's a really big problem. The government is actually asking anybody, if you have an idea that you think will work, they want to hear it. That's how bad it is. The groups I've worked with and I've talked to them, I ask them, what helps you? What do you feel really helps you? And about 80% say martial arts or MMA training or something where they get to hit something.
Stress release, right?
Yes.
Anger management. Bam, down the pads, boom,
bam.
Boom. Just hit that pad, bam, 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 and hit that stress out and punch it.
Get that stress out.
Getting it out, and I think it's COVID-19.
Yeah.
All of that, right? Analogies and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And they also feel, whether it's a dojo or an MMA gym, they feel the camaraderie. They feel like they're part of the family or the school or the dojo. So that helps a lot. The only other thing I've seen that helps, I've seen people do yoga and meditation. And even though it teaches them a little bit of breathing and stuff, they really don't like that stuff. Tai Chi, good training, hitting, punching. The other thing that seems to be working is biofeedback.
Mm-hmm.
That's the new thing, and it seems to be working for a lot of them.
Okay.
So there's even biofeedback buildings and businesses opening up now. So.
Yes. Yeah, I'd love to be able to get the guys together, you, Alan, and the guys and the twins were saying before, and offer this idea as well, like a stress management release through the martial art and pads and getting it out of the system and getting them exercising and breathing and just eating good food and all of that as well. So it's a problem, and drugs and alcohol is just is not the solution. It just makes it worse. Excessive alcohol makes it worse, and obviously drugs and things like that. And that's where they delve into, because they're depression and things like that. And I think that's just a cycle of this goes, patterning that goes back and back and back. It's like patterning with bad parenting goes. So you need to change the patterning of life in that regard and say, right, I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to go this way, not I'll be influenced and take this, think it's going to be good for me when it's not. I'm going to go this way to a healthier, happier life, healthier life will make you a happier life. And things like martial art and stress release and tennis. Tennis is good for me because I'm hitting balls as well. So I'm always doing something.
Anything active. Yeah.
And pickleball I'm doing now, and all of that as well. In fact, I'm going now tonight to play pickleball as well, and all of that. So, but mate, this has been anything else to add, Jason? This has been a great interview. It's just been awesome, mate. I've really enjoyed it, and I hope people hang in there for these few hours and watch it, all of it. But it's up to them. Well, they're watching bits and pieces. But what's your last bit of advice, or also how can we contact you because you're in Las Vegas and that you're teaching and everything else?
Yeah, so my advice is, guys, life is changing. Try to go with the flow.
Yep.
Start training smarter, not harder. And if you need to get a hold of me, you can go to my website, which is 9dragonsmartialarts.com. There's a lot of good info there.
That's 9 with the number, isn't it?
Yes, 9 with the number.
9
And then Dragons
Martial
Martial
Arts.com.
Arts.
Las Vegas, of course. Those people in Las Vegas, there's the man.
Yes.
Him and Alan Woodman as well down there, working together in the Stunt Academy with Alan Woodman. Those aspiring actors and actresses, they can get to the Stunt Academy. Jason trains with Alan on Sunday mornings. Tell us about the Stunt Academy briefly. I am interviewing Alan another time, but just the Stunt Academy, where's that again and what time on Sundays?
So we have the first of its kind, Las Vegas Stunt Academy. There's a lot of movies and films being filmed in Nevada now, and a lot more coming. The academy is located at NAC Muay Thai Lao Gym. It's a Thai kickboxing gym under Master Air Fan Trip.
Yep.
And the training is every Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Oh, great. Okay, so and they can contact, of course, yourself or Alan. Or we'll go through you as well.
Yes.
So through 9 Dragons, if you can. Because I'm going to do a separate interview with Alan as well. But yes, they can still contact or through me, both of you, so that anyone can go check it out. My website's martialmotivation.com, and also obviously again, Jason's is 9, the number 9 Dragons.
Correct.
Martialarts.com.
Correct.
And remember, those people that don't know how to spell martial arts, like self-defense in Australia and America with the C and S, M-A-R-T-I-A-L, like mine, martialmotivation.com, M-A-R-T-I-A-L. So great to speak to you, Jace. Okay. Name, by the way, Australians always reduce nicknames as Jace. We always shorten names in Australia. It's like Alan doesn't want me to call him Al. I have to call him Alan, They're not used to it, right? They like the Australians always, so I always call him Jace. Aren't you, Jace? Yeah. So thanks, mate. Great master. You've been awesome with your styles and your contribution to the martial arts for a long time, and to your service to America and the people. And you took a hit for us, mate. And I'm just so glad you recovered from that and you continued your journey in the martial arts. And you took a bomb, everybody. You took a bomb, mate. It's just a real bomb, and it was blown up. You're an amazing guy, mate. What you've been through. And those who need self-defense, martial art, life skills in Las Vegas, he's your man. And we are going to do some seminars together as well, aren't we? In LA and Vegas and all around the place.
Oh, yeah.
So Jason is going to, or Jace, my mate Jace, Digger Cobber, all right, the Australian expression, is going to, we're going to do martial arts super seminars.
Yes.
Different categories of different artists and people, and Josh and Jeremy Roydy, Jace, Alan Woodman, a whole bunch of all different people we got going with the Jeff Speakman, a whole bunch of different people getting into the martial arts super seminar. I hope we can John the Dragon Wilson will come on board, Cynthia Rothrock, as well, a whole bunch of very famous people that can get out there and spread the word. And Kung Fu Ru, of course.
That's right.
I've got something to say goodbye to you, Jace. Oh, he just come in. Hello, Jason.
Oh,
today.
Wow. Yes.
A good boy in this interview.
Yes.
Good for Mum and Daddy, Jason. All right. So you're going to be good for your parents, and they'll be good for you. Okay. We talked about that, didn't we? We don't want bad parents.
That's right.
We don't want bad children, right?
That's it.
You're back, okay, Jason? Say goodbye.
All right.
Oh, thank you, Kung Fu Ru. It's very nice of you to drop in. That's very kind of you. Thanks, mate. Very good. You just hop away now, Kung Fu Ru. Thanks, mate. You're a legend. Look forward to seeing you. See, we're going to catch up in Vegas when all this stuff's out of the way, and we'll catch up. And of course, we've got the World Champs coming up. They're still not working out the date for that. It's normally at June. So I think Stan's going to have to push it back a bit more. So I'm hoping before then anyway. So I'll come down to Vegas and catch up with you, all right?
Oh, great. Great.
All right, guys, out there, all you budding martial artists and current martial artists, everyone keep well, keep safe, and above all, be nice to each other. Take care. Thanks, Jace. Take care, mate.
Oof.
See you, mate. Oos. That's it. See you, mate.
All right.
Thank you.